Meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, einen schönen guten Tag aus Wolfsburg und herzlich willkommen zur Strategie-Pressekonferenz von Volkswagen. 2016 hat die Marke mit Transform 2025 Plus einen starken, aber auch mutigen Weg eingeschlagen. Als erster Volumenhersteller sind wir den Systemwechsel hin zur elektrischen Mobilität konsequent angegangen. Heute wissen wir, der eingeschlagene Weg war richtig, unsere Strategie greift. Gleichzeitig haben aber auch wichtige gesellschaftliche und technologische Rahmenbedingungen deutlich mehr Dynamik entwickelt, als wir das 2016 angenommen haben. Daher ist jetzt der richtige Zeitpunkt, die Strategie von Volkswagen neu auszurichten. Genau darüber wollen wir heute mit Ihnen sprechen und dazu begrüße ich den Vorstandsvorsitzenden von Volkswagen, Ralf Brandstätter, der Ihnen gleich die Zukunftsplanung von Volkswagen vorstellen wird. Im Anschluss stehen wir, wie gewohnt, für Ihre Fragen zur Verfügung. Und damit übergebe ich das Wort an Ralf Brandstätter. Bitte schön.
Vielen Dank, Herr Aschoff. Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Wir stehen vor großen Aufgaben. Deshalb erhöhen wir das Tempo. Das Umfeld für die Automobilindustrie verändert sich rasant. Der Kampf gegen den Klimawandel wird immer dringender. Das Innovationstempo in unserer Industrie nimmt zu. Neue Wettbewerber drängen in unsere Geschäfte. Wir werden Volkswagen in den nächsten Jahren so stark verändern wie nie zuvor. Wir wollen die führende Position aufrechterhalten. Und wir haben dabei eine klare Vision. Volkswagen wird die begehrenswerteste Marke für nachhaltige Mobilität. Wir übernehmen Verantwortung für die Menschen und unseren Planeten. Wir machen individuelle Mobilität und Innovationen weiterhin für möglichst viele zugänglich und erschwinglich. Wir stehen für Qualität, Wertigkeit und Zuverlässigkeit. Eine Marke, die Menschen weltweit inspiriert und mit ihren Produkten und Services begeistert. Kurzum, Volkswagen ist zu jeder Zeit für unsere Kunden die beste Wahl. Auf diese Vision haben wir unsere Strategie ausgerichtet.
Our strategy on this vision. We have laid the cornerstone with our strategy Transform 2025 Plus. 5 years ago, it was this that started the transformation of Volkswagen. We have renewed our model range, but Volkswagen has also clearly committed to electric drives. We're on track to offering carbon-neutral mobility for everyone. What started as a sketch, or roughly sketched idea, has become a reality on our streets. Affordable and practical electric vehicles built on one of the most sophisticated electric driving platforms, the MAB Toolkit. This toolkit has become our hallmark and unique selling proposition in the market. And yet, this is still early days of using the technological potential. This platform has yet even greater potential. The first vehicles with four-wheel drive are being launched, and we will continually improve acceleration, charging speed, and range. We have tripled the sales of purely electric vehicles. All told, Volkswagen sold a total of 212,000 electric vehicles. This has been a successful breakthrough for e-mobility. In many countries of Europe, the ID.3 has leapt to the top of the sales charts from the get-go. It features fascinating digital innovation like augmented reality Car2X or the Travel Assist 2.0. We've announced the next big technology leap this week. The ID.3 and 4 now have the technology on board to receive regular over-the-air updates and add new features. What people know from their smartphones will be given a new dimension of customer experiences at Volkswagen. We have founded ID Digital, an agile project unit which ensures that customer-centric over-the-air updates are transferred into vehicles of the ID family. Every 12 weeks, the magic loop will deliver a new digital customer experience. Over the last 2 years, our entire model range has received hybrid drives with an offer in every segment. The Golf, Tiguan, Passat, Arteon and Touareg are now available as hybrids, plug-in hybrids. We were able to reduce the carbon emissions of our fleet by 22% in the last year alone. We are launching at least one new electric vehicle every year, accelerating in unit sales and cover all segments. In March, we'll begin the ID4 market launch in all regions. Our electric SUV goes around the world, produced and sold in Europe, China and the US. Then, even this year, you will get the ID4 as a GTX with four-wheel drive. In second half of the year, we have the highly emotional and sporty ID5. With the ID6 or Cross, at Shanghai Motor Show, we will present a 7-seater electric SUV which was developed for the Chinese market. In 2022, with the ID Buzz, we shall launch the new version of our brand Icon. From the get-go, it is a really likable vehicle. The Aero B will follow 1 year later. Sustainable premium with up to 700 kilometers range, our range hero. We're on a good path towards becoming the world market leader for e-mobility, just as planned back in 2016. Our commitment to the Paris climate goals is matched by our actions. This is our way to zero. Of course, in this phase of transformation, we shall continue to improve our internal combustion engines as well. Only by doing this can we generate the profits which we need to be able to successfully manage this transformation. And this is why all the core models, like the Golf, Tiguan, Passat, Tayron and the T-Roc, will get successor models. We need the IC engines for a while yet, but they should be as efficient as possible. And then the next generation of our core products, which are worldwide models, the next generation of the plug-in hybrids, with up to 100 kilometers electric range. Ladies and gentlemen, as electric cars are becoming commonplace, Volkswagen is in the lead. Europe, with a Green Deal, wants to be climate neutral by 2050. In the US, President Biden has already started a turnaround in climate policy. China has committed to ambitious carbon targets. E-vehicles operated by environmentally friendly power are the only option to make individual traffic climate neutral fast. That's only common sense. But if you believe that with electric cars alone we've arrived in the future already, then you're wrong. The true game changer is digitalization. We are masters of the electric drivetrain. And now another thing is added. We master electric drives, and now we see that the car becomes a software-driven product. Like an internet device, the cars will become more intelligent, comfortable, and safer. New business models arise, individual mobility with maximum flexibility. And third, autonomous driving and artificial intelligence will fundamentally change people's mobility. And this is going to be the hardest task for us in terms of technology, electrification, software-driven products, new business models, and autonomous driving are the four major forces behind future developments of vehicles. They have an impact on us, our operations, our business model, and they mutually reinforce. At the same time, new competitors that are good at this are entering our business. with almost unlimited resources at their disposal. The transformation towards electromobility was only the beginning. The real disruption is imminent. We must become masters in every discipline. We accept this challenge. It is with the same courage we showed in e-mobility that we now tackle the next future topics. We are convinced that Volkswagen, out of all major car makers, has the best opportunities to win that race. While competitors are still in the middle of electro-transformation, we take giant steps toward digital transformation. With our further developed strategy, we are starting the next phase. We are accelerating realignment faster and more radically than ever. Transformation will become acceleration. In this, we are concentrating on three strategic value drivers: the value of our brand, scalable platforms, physically and digitally speaking, and Volkswagen is a responsible company. These three strategic value drivers have been implemented with concrete focus areas, with measures and ambitious targets. The first value driver, the value of the brand, is above all about strengthening Volkswagen's core. The brand's core must be lifted onto a new level. We make Volkswagen into a one global brand. Our touchstone is to live up to our brand promise everywhere. What bears the VW logo will offer VW quality, whether that is with a joint venture in China, Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, or Volkswagen in America. To this effect, we are accelerating again in order to become the world market leader for climate-neutral e-mobility. To do this, we will accelerate further and improve our BEV offer. By 2030, the share of electric cars in Europe will be doubled from the planned 35%, which is the current plan, to more than 70%. Volkswagen is assuming responsibility and will drive the climate. The planned EU will take responsibility for the climate and more than comply with the planned EU regulation. In the US and China, we're planning 50%. And this is much better than the regulation requires. This will make e-mobility affordable for even more people. It is in our blood. The latest technology must be made accessible for as many people as possible. And this also holds true of autonomous driving, which will be experienceable for many people by 2030. This technology must not become the privilege for only a few people. At 6 million sold units per year, the brand has the needed volumes to be able to scale up this difficult-to-engineer technology and roll it out worldwide. Starting 2026, we will build a neural network with our fully interconnected vehicle fleet. And these will continuously communicate with another. Using the Volkswagen Automotive Cloud, they continuously exchange data on traffic, obstacles, and accidents ahead. In doing this, we're creating a self-learning system connecting millions of cars across all group brands. Our cars have become a fixed part of the lives of our customers. It is part of the core values of Volkswagen that we always offer our customers more than our competitors, and we are strengthening this position. Where customers are in contact with us, they will experience our brand promise, whether physically, in the dealerships, in our product substance, or when it comes to our services in digital interaction.
And when it comes to our second large value driver, the scalable platforms, we will pool our strengths in the group and leverage synergies. Today, 80% of all our group vehicles are based on the MQB and the MEB platforms. So those were developed originally, of course, by the Volkswagen brand. Or, in other words, we really are the platform champion of our group. Now, the next generation will be called the Scalable Systems Platform. This is going to be a new, very powerful, fully electric system for flat vehicles. And this is again where we as Volkswagen will draw on our strengths as being a platform champion and then also be the lead brand for scaling solutions across the group. Software integration in the vehicle thus becomes a core competence of Volkswagen. We will also be in charge of the customer-focused digital ecosystem. Now, with that, we want to collaborate with our car software organization, which develops the Unified Electronic Architecture, E-Cubed, and our Volkswagen operating system, VWOS. These are the basics. And thanks to our volume, we will then ensure scalability of the E-Cube 2.0 software in our group, and the ID family is truly a pioneer. Software integration and the digital experience become the core competences of the Volkswagen brand, and as soon as in 2 years' time, we will be fully connected with a fleet of more than 500,000 vehicles. And that allows us to turn the customer feedback into new functions. The digital experience in a vehicle is continually developing, like you would know today from your smartphones, which means your vehicle always stays up to date and it remains and gets better and better. And this truly is the prerequisite for what we call data-based business models, because so far we have just been a car maker that was focused to the moment when you would deliver a new vehicle to your customer. But this is going to change. In the future, we're going to develop revenue streams across the life cycle of the vehicle usage for charging services, energy services, for software-centered functions that can be purchased and added by the customer on demand. Or also, we will be catering to automated driving functions. Now, here the fundamental idea is that we want to reduce the entry barriers for mobility, while at the same time being able to offer competitive packages. Now, this is what we call our business model 2.0. This will allow us to reach out to new customers. We're going to leverage new revenue streams. Now, when we talk about scalability, China is very important, because we can use our joint venture companies there to scale up technologies to large volumes, and take actually about 50% of our vehicles right now we're already selling in China. And thanks to this powerful footprint in China, we will develop new technologies quickly and will reach marketability much faster. And thanks to our new Volkswagen Anhui undertaking, we for the first time have a majority stake in a Chinese joint venture. This provides us with the entrepreneurial freedom we need in order to set up an important technology and innovation hub. We're going to pool competences there that will also be very important for our global reach. Until 2022, we will build up more production capacities for 350,000 units. And the first models will then enter series production in 2023. Now, when it comes to our brand value and scalable platforms, we have ambitious plans, and we will only implement those if we manage to accelerate the restructuring of our organization. And this is precisely where our third value driver comes in, being a valuable company, because this symbolizes the value we create and the values we live by. Volkswagen is a company that assumes responsibility and that provides the answers. This is precisely what our customers expect. That's what society, shareholders, employees and talent expect. Volkswagen thus becomes a purpose-driven company. Our shared vision, our contribution to society is well defined. Volkswagen on the way to carbon-neutral mobility for all. By 2050, we want to make our brand completely carbon neutral, both the vehicles and the entire company. But for us, responsibility also means more. It's about environmental action, it's about climate action, it's about road safety, it's about stress-free mobility for all. Autonomous driving will be an important contribution towards that. But we also create value by continuously organizing our organization and processes in an end-to-end fashion. Now, what does that mean? End-to-end means we're focusing the entire company and all processes and align them with the needs of our customers. So everything counts towards that goal. This is how we develop our processes. We make them fast, efficient, with agile work, with collaboration. Because one thing's entirely clear, software doesn't ask for line departments. Now, really, Volkswagen increasingly becomes a software-driven tech company. Get out of the silos, just talk processes. ID Digital is the best example for that. And finally, we will continue to work to improve our efficiency. Why is that? Well, we need to generate the revenues we need for this transformation. In the coming 5 years, Volkswagen will invest 16 billion euros into the big e-mobility issues that are related to hybrid technologies, to digital technologies. And in order to finance those investments, also, we need a sustainable operating margin of a minimum of 6%. And this we want to attain by 2023. And also, the COVID crisis has shown us that we are very susceptible to volume fluctuations. So this is also why we are single-minded in optimizing our cost positions. In other words, we are increasing our resilience. Now, in order to achieve that, we want to reduce our fixed costs by 2023 by 5%. The productivity of our plants will be increased by 5% per annum, and our material costs will also be improved by 7%. And it's entirely clear that every region in which we work has to be profitable. In South America right now, we are implementing a strong restructuring plan. Despite the overall market being quite slow, we're already aiming for the break-even this year. And also in North America, we are now pushing an ambitious growth plan, while at the same time getting a handle on costs in the US. Volkswagen also will be in the black this year. Now in North America, although volume sales have dropped by 17%, we are now breaking even. The same is true in South America, with a volume drop of 30%. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's one vision, there are 3 strategic value drivers, and 12 specific action areas. This truly is the core of our Volkswagen Accelerate strategy. Everything we can and want to be doing in the future is something that will come alive in a vehicle in 2026 for our customers. Trinity, once again, will define the future of series production. Trinity is the focal point of our Accelerate strategy. It's a flagship project of our software dream car. Because Trinity is not only about the latest generation of electric vehicles, Trinity is about 3 important elements for the future of Volkswagen. First of all, the vehicle is built on a newly developed electronic platform using state-of-the-art software that we can also roll out in the volume segment across the brand. Now, this allows us also to develop a new dimension of digital functions and services for the entire group. This will allow us to make autonomous driving accessible to many people. Trinity will be available from the get-go on level 2+, and in the future also level 4 can be achieved. At the same time, we're developing a neural network for our group and introduce artificial intelligence in our cars. Now, the second element is that we're going to simplify our product offering. We are embarking on a new path forward here. We're going to radically reduce the number of variants. The hardware of the vehicle will be largely unified. So what you do is you select battery capacity, the color, and the wheels. You order your car just as you would a new smartphone. Because the individual configuration of the vehicle will not be decided when you actually purchase the hardware, your car, but as you go along. Many functions will be available on demand. You can add features out of the digital ecosystem. And finally, Trinity will make our main factory here in Wolfsburg the showcase of our group in terms of the latest in intelligent and fully connected production. We are going to build cars and rethink that entire process by introducing revolutionary approaches. So digitalization, automation, and lightweight design are playing an important role. So Trinity is going to become a kind of time machine, because Trinity gives people time and takes away the stress. So after a long motorway drive, they are relaxed when they arrive at their destination. You're being driven, you're being chauffeured, either when you go on your holidays or when you return home from work. Level 4 means you switch on the autopilot as soon as you enter the motorway, and the system will then let you know when you reach your exit to leave the motorway. The time in between you can use to communicate, to work, to relax, to play with your children. It's quality time, truly. So Trinity will make that available by 2030 for many people, not just for a select few. And this once again means pioneering work for the group. Trinity launches new technologies in large volumes for the mainstream market. Ladies and gentlemen, our Accelerate strategy will fundamentally change our brand, what we do, how we do it, and why we're doing it, because Volkswagen will be standing for climate-compatible electric mobility. By 2030, at least 70% of our vehicles sold in Europe will be electric. In North America and China, there will be at least 50%. Volkswagen will be about fascinating digital customer experiences. Our products are defined via its software component. They can be updated over the air. And Volkswagen also will be precisely about new business models. In the future, we'll be generating more revenues throughout the life cycle of our vehicles. And finally, we're implementing autonomous driving. We will make self-driving vehicles available for many people. We are creating an intelligent neural network for our group. So everything we will be able to do will home in on Trinity. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've developed a very good basis for the future in those past years. So that's our strategy. VW Accelerate, digital, energized. We've already began work on it, and together with my colleagues on the management board and the entire team, I'm looking forward to turning this vision for the VW brand into reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brandstetter. And it is now time for us to take your questions. Joining us through digital channels, the Volkswagen brand board is here. Head of Procurement, Murat Axel. Head of HR, Wilfried von Rath. CFO, Alexander Seitz. Head of Development, Thomas Ulbrich. Head of Production, Dr. Christian Vollmer. Head of Sales, Klaus Zellmer. And joining us from China, Dr. Stefan Wöllenstein, responsible for our China business. Please ask your questions in either German or English. The answers will be translated by our simultaneous interpreters. The first question.
So the first question comes from Mr. Stegmaier from Automotorsport in Deutschland. Now, Mr. Brandstetter, can you talk about Artemis, Apollo, and Trinity, and tell us about what they relate to and how they relate to one another and what is specific about them, because these are also flagship projects. And will the first Trinity project also replace the MEB? Will the MEB2 cover more segments?
I'll be taking this question. Trinity and Etienne are complementary, really. Both are mutually complementing. Our team is, in their project, concentrate on a clear premium position. And using Artemis, we intend to develop the new Evo 3 architecture, which was developed here in our group, and to use that in this premium model. The development of this architecture only makes sense if we use it throughout all vehicles of the VW group. This is our project. With Trinity, we intend to use this software at large volumes and to have economies of scale. And this is the responsibility of Trinity, which they assume. The collaboration with the software org should should be conceptualized as follows. It's a very integrative approach, so software org dovetails with Artemis, and the software org also dovetails with Trinity in turn. It's not as if a software stack was built on the one side and then was sent a pen drive and then loaded onto the vehicle. This is collaboration which is needed, and this is why both entities have such a great significance for the group. We need the software architecture to work from Artemis and the premium segment right down to the Volkswagen volume segment in Trinity. So much.
Mr. Ulrich, would you care to add something?
Mr. Ulrich, did you have a comment on this? Complimentary. Well, the Trinity will be on the next platform, and it will be the first vehicle for this evolutionary further development of the platform we have today in MEB. We are developing this against the backdrop that this vehicle will have the features and product evolution and production evolution features which Mr. Brandstetter mentioned. This will then be rolled out throughout our group, and it will enable us to place new products.
Now, next question comes from Norway. And there the question is also from Mr. Brandstetter about why it is that we want to transform ourselves into a tech company rather than establishing a partnership with established ones.
We are convinced that this development towards digitalization has to be something which we need to be good at, which is why a number of years ago we started going down that avenue, more digitalization for our products, and this will rise in importance in the future. You need to master digitalization and internet connectedness in your vehicles, and future business models are based on this. If you give this to a third party, you will not be able to shape your business model. And this is why we, in the car group and in our brand, we've decided to develop this technology ourselves. And after all, this is how we did electromobility. A couple of years ago, we began developing electromobility, and what started as a rough sketch is now on the roads with our MEB platform. And with digitalization and the software, we're going to experience this likewise. We can prove that we have mastery of this field, and now we need to build on this and use these competences to be future-proof, which is why we've decided to go along this path.
Now we have Henning Krog from Business Insider on the phone. So, Mr. Krog, can we have your question, please? Hello from Hamburg. Can you hear me? Now, Mr. Brandstetter, Spain has enormous potential in developing e-mobility, both as a production site, but also as a sales market. Now, VW is planning or considering to establish an Iberian Peninsula production network. Now, specific questions there. What does that mean? Do you, as Volkswagen passenger cars, see the production of Polo at Pamplona, or move it away from Pamplona possibly? What else alongside the T-Cross could be built at Pamplona? So will Pamplona be converted to a pure electric manufacturing site if the Polo leaves there? And the next question, for the electricity markets as a USP, is always very important that you have good design. Now, Volkswagen passenger cars with Audi and Skoda works on an important market, China. You talked about scalability in China. Now, with a view to 2024, there is a flush door handle project that you're also working on. So you're bringing down the mechanical share and increasing the electrical share. Now, why are you not using this technology for the first generation of the ID.3? Because this is a feature that Tesla has already been offering, the flush door handle. So therefore, in the volume business, will VW passenger cars come in to replace outer mirrors with camera-based images, perhaps?
Right. The first group of questions, Mr. Brandstätter, you might want to take them, and then we can hear in more depth comments. Well, in Majorel, we produce Seat, we produce vehicles in Pamplona, Polo and Tigris, for instance, and at the moment it is planned for this to remain our approach for quite a while yet. We are looking into the question on how to transform electromobility more even into this segment. How do we transport it into there? The small BEV, this is the working title, between 20 or to launch it earlier in 2025 instead of 2027, up to at a price of 25,000 euros. This is an attractive entry-level offer below that level, that price point of the ID.3. And we assume that the transformation of electromobility in this segment is going to take up speed. Where these cars will be built has not been decided yet. There are different scenarios, and I hope you'll bear with me that we'll announce that later. Then the flush door handles, I believe this was what your question pertained to. Well, with the flush door handles, which we're launching in the ID.4, we've made a leapfrog advancement ahead. The door grips are flush with the design. This is a great leap forward, and this is our roll-out scenario. Time and again, you'll see that on different models. We have very good aerodynamics. The function is very good, and we believe that we are on a good trajectory here. But we're looking into completely flush door handles as well that simply disappear into the bodywork, and we believe that we'll be able to establish the roadwork for future cars. This is under development and will pursue this development path, but we're very happy in the flush grips on the ID.4. After the displays, there was another question by Mr. Cook. Mr. Ulbrich, did you want to comment? Yes, Mr. Cook, on your question with the cameras. Currently, cameras are very tightly regulated and really only something you can use in small series, but this is bound to change over the next 3 to 5 years. The technology needs to be evolutionarily improved so that customers have an authentic, real image and not technical artifacts. But I'm totally with you. The future, in the long run, will be based on camera technology, and we are working on this in the background. I believe you are authorized to tell people, no, I can't.
Now we have Christoph Rauvelt from Bloomberg on the phone. Mr. Rauvelt, please. Okay, no, we don't have Mr. Rauvelt, so we'll try again later. Mr. Zeitz, can you explain how in the United States and Latin America you are going to break even although volume sales are down? So what will result in 2020 there on those markets?
This will be optimized and streamlined, and by 2020, I believe we've shown that we have been able to implement our targets for 2021. We're on a good track here. We have different organizational measures in South America, for instance, reducing fixed costs, overhead. It's a very rigid cost savings plan, and we will be able to achieve these targets in South America. In North America, we're in the process of expanding our portfolio with products that the markets like. And here we need to focus on restructuring. In the South, we'll have restructuring with a streamlining portfolio in the north. And I'm sure that with the costs we're driving down, that we'll achieve our target in 2021. May I add to this the turnaround in both regions based, of course, on our product strategy, which we have decided. In South America, basically, we only had the goal, and a couple of years ago, we had a product portfolio which had aged, so we decided to move the A0 platform to South America with vehicles such as the Virtus, the Polo. The Virtus is a notchback sedan, which is in line with the market, and the Nivos and other cars have been built on that platform. They've been gradually introduced into the markets, and we're entering the phase now where in this market economies of scale are felt, so the investment is receiving a tremendous yield now. And with a strong product momentum, I'm convinced that happens in parallel with the measures described by Mr. Seitz, so that on the South American market we will achieve break-even. Of course, this is the caveat as a function of the overall market's developments and the corona crisis. The last 4 months, we've been able to break even there, and we feel confident that we'll be able to continue that for the rest of the year. Similar things apply to North America. Here, our product portfolio has been tailored to the American taste. The Atlas and the Atlas Crossboard are very successful here. In the segment of B SUVs, we've been able to get very good market share. The Tiguan in its long wheelbase version has been introduced, and we'll have a model below the Tiguan, an SUV for the American market. So those are strong SUVs, and I can tell you that an SUV such as the Atlas is a factor of 3 better than a Jetta, and that shows the potential of the right product strategy tailored to American taste and American segments, and that will make the difference. And we are confident that in combination with cost discipline, which has happened in both regions, that will on the US market in the black figures in 2021. It's very important that profitable regions ensure that we are more robust against and safeguarded against market variation. That's our target for 2021.
Ms. Weisbach from CNBC would like to know when we achieve the same profitability with electric vehicles vis-à-vis internal combustion engines, and whether we can press ahead. Maybe Mr. Weinstadt will start, and then Mr. Seitz can follow on.
Well, when we launch vehicles in the market like the ID3 or 4, from the beginning, from the get-go, they will earn us money. What we cannot do is use economies of scale thereby not being profitable. This is not an option. The profitability effect of the e-vehicles with the additional volumes, this is what we see already with the ID4, which in Europe, the States, and in China enters the markets there. And this particular vehicle has great economic significance for us, for the scalability of the MAB platform, and with volumes the margins improve. So progress in the margins requires large volumes to be sold, but from the get-go these vehicles come with a positive margin. I can tell you this much. Well, you might be aware of this UPS study which we've had a look at. There was a teardown of a competitor's vehicle. This is very inaudible. Economies of scale are being mentioned, and there will be a clear reduction in volume in Europe, South America. These economies of scale will realized. It was difficult to hear you, says Mr. Brandstetter, as the connection was very bad, so I'll comment on this. Third parties have corroborated our statement that the MEB is competitive, the ID4. And the MEB, which was launched in the markets, is in early days of its development and evolution. I've made this quite clear. It will get a four-wheel drive variant. We'll have an additional performance drive to improve acceleration. The charge performance and the range will continually be improved. And this shows that we're still in a phase of early days of this technological evolution. And of course, profitability and customer satisfaction with electromobility will improve further.
Now we're trying again to talk to Mr. Rauwald, please. There we are. I hope you can all hear me. Yes, indeed. Now, I don't know if my question had been answered or not, because I already submitted them through the message field, because we had some technical glitches here. Now, my first question was on the profitability of the regions, so we couldn't quite understand what you said. When do you want to break even in North America and South America? And could you please update us on how the brands also will address Southeast Asia, which is a growing market region? And finally, you mentioned in the press release earlier that the core models, the Tiguans, etc., will have successor models as well. Now, what about vehicles with lower volume sales, like the Touran, the Charan, the Arteon? What about those cars?
Well, first on the regions, I went into some depth there, but your concrete question was, when does the break-even come? And for the US market, we're planning for 2021 for this to be achieved. And for the South America region, the plan is also to reach that in 2021. I had added that in South America, for instance, the last 4 months, we achieved the break-even. So we are confident for 2021. We are using exports from plants worldwide for the ATM, and with the exception of what we're doing in Malaysia, we have not planned to set up further plants in this region. However, we are keeping our sights on this region, but for us it looks like an export scenario. On the product strategy, let me state that a Touran successor is currently not planned. The Arteon has just received its facelift, and those are decisions we'll take in planning round 70. I'd like to ask for your patience, if I may, but what we have on the assets side is that these core products, which are worldwide products, which are being sold in China, in the US, which are quite successful there, and the Tiguan, the Passat, the Tayron, and the T-Roc successor products have been decided to be made, and they are essential for us. We will continue to need these vehicles, but we want to make them as efficient as possible. And this is why it's important to electrify these vehicles with either mild hybrids or plug-in hybrids, because when these vehicles come, which will be incrementally over the next 5 years, the next new generation will get plug-in hybrids. So you'll have an electric range of up to 100 kilometers, which is something, is it not?
Now, on the phone, we have Jan Schwarz from Reuters. Mr. Schwarz, please. Okay, we cannot hear Mr. Schwarz. There he is. There he is, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not quite easy with our phone lines here, and we have a bit of a time lag here, but thank you very much for having me. Now, Mr. Brandstetter, you're talking about a new savings plan there, or cost-cutting plan. Can you brief us on that? What's the latest in that? And can we expect that towards the end of the quarter to hear a result of your cost savings plan?
Mr. Schwarz, first on the program that we have started, This is an ongoing program, continually optimizing fixed costs, increasing productivity by 5%. That's our plan as it stands. And Christian Vollmer has developed this plan worldwide, of course. What we achieve in cost optimization through our ongoing programs, you know, we have the Future Pact and the Roadmap Digital Transformation. So our company is already in the rhythm of developing measures to improve efficiency. We have a Digitalization for Corporate Processes program, which is in the implementation phase as well. So many routine tasks will be automated using the most modern digital projects and tools. So we are using, and we're confident here, the demographic curve to this effect to shape this transformation. This is a process with which we iteratively advance things in little steps, and we set forth these measures together with the labor side representatives, and we are confident that we will make headway next year. I ask your forbearance on the fact that the first quarter of this year, we cannot comment on this yet here.
Next question goes to Mr. Zellmer, and maybe Mr. Zeitz can add. You talk about data-based business models that can develop new revenue streams. Now, what sales potential do you see in this area precisely?
Let me comment on the data-based business case definition. In new car business, in the service business, and in the provision of parts and the dealership organizations, this is important. And the availability of user data, of course, develops into the use phase with our customers because we have the data charging, functions on demand, etc., and these services. And if on the basis of this data we find that a car user, you know, you could have a basic fee with additional payments for each kilometer with our 2.0 use strategy, and it's conceivable to give this customer functions on demand. We can foresee what route he will take, plans on taking, and we can offer range extender or to have other systems which we can simply activate in the car, and we can generate more positive potential in the market and achieve better profits. And the potential is there. We're well placed to make use of it, but 3-digit millions additional cash flow into our coffers is quite possible. The economies of scales across several continents and the technical and digital additional functions and features which are in the car already will give us a cost base that enables us to offer functions on demand, functionality for the customer, and of course we'll have pricing for this. Economies of scale in new technologies will support us in offering such differentiated business models. And we come round full circle to the question on why we feel digitalization is so important. It is important to be able to run these business models. We have the data from our vehicles, and for the Audi family, in 2 years, we'll have around about 500,000 vehicles on the roads. And of course, when you interconnect them, you're supplied with high-quality data. This is not about customer-specific data, but to see how do cars behave when charging the battery, for instance. And we've decided to develop our own battery management software. This is our competence. This is our IP. And using this data, we can improve the battery management software, for instance. And in this manner, new ideas are generated from the data that come in to improve our products further for our customers. So digitalization, over-the-air updates, business models 2.0, this is a dovetailed system consisting of these components. We want to master the data, to be the owners of the order or in control of the data, to continually improve the customer experience. And over their useful service lives, these vehicles will always look much more new and fresh, and that will benefit the resale values. So the business model has been extensively described.
Simon Wright from The Economist wants to know from Mr. Banstetter how the Accelerate strategy will be focusing on a division of owning and using a vehicle, and therefore offer other mobility services, or are you still focusing on vehicle ownership by individual persons?
Well, we'll see how this trends and develops. At the moment, we assume that many customers want to own their car. This is still a tried and proven business model for us. However, it is quite conceivable that in addition to the ownership during the useful life of a car, we can have additional business models, which is what we want with Software 2.0. We have WeShare in Berlin or WeShare in Hamburg as pilot projects. In Hamburg, opened in February, 800 vehicles are available for short time mobility, so very short drives. And we are getting people into our products using this project. We show them what we feel electromobility can offer, and this is very good, both for the short trips and for people who really want to own their car. We are becoming a viable option. So this is not mutually excluding. We are open and we're pursuing many different approaches.
Question for Mr. Vollmer. Trinity has announced radical production methods. Can you tell us what that really means? Some examples, perhaps?
It will be my pleasure. With Trinity, we intend to completely reinvent production as we know it today, and we need to change our thinking. We have decided to go with this in Wolfsburg here, and the production times are meant to go down dramatically from the level that we are, not in small increments, but rather in a big leapfrog development. The project is still fairly recent, and we're working very closely with R&D to have an influence on the way products are designed, so that what comes from R&D is further developed in an evolutionary approach, and that will improve our production times. The cast parts, the large cast parts of the body and the hot-formed parts, panels for instance, here Volkswagen has built an enormous competence. We want to get away from logistics warehouses. We want these things as customers need the parts, not a theoretical 3 million variants that customers can order. Many variants are never built because there's simply no demand for all these configuration variants. And we will be able to save costs on a just JIT level because if some of these variants are very rare. I'd like to compliment, if I may, Christian. This week we had a round where we got together with a team, and the team at the moment is above all technical development and production, of course, involving sales as well. Everything dovetails very smoothly. This project has met with euphoria. The teams are driving this forward with a lot of vim, and it's great to see that many wonderful ideas are put forth so that we can set the right course in this instrumental and very important phase. We need to take the decisions now and set the course for production being even more highly developed in the future. Large cast parts, greater standardization, and less logistics complexity are very important factors that are being worked on as we speak. We are making headway. We're pleased with the progress, and we're looking forward to working with this team because people are just so ready to change. We can feel that it's the pulse of the VW team.
And the last question of the day goes to Mr. Brandstetter again. The MEB also was offered as a collaboration project for other car makers in other markets. So what can you tell us about? What's the latest in that?
We have a very strong cooperation, and our partner Ford has recently announced that in Cologne the MEB will be built. Currently, other discussions are ongoing, but without being able to name concrete projects here as I stand today, I can say that with this platform or toolkit, we are on a path of continually reviewing what else is possible to be built on that platform, which other products can be built. Volkswagen Anhui in China is our new joint venture, which will be 100% electric. The MEB is the basis for that as well. And the Volkswagen team is showing time and again what creativity they're showing. Very airy vehicles, all that is possible, and we're concentrating on this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has taken us to the end of our press event. Thank you very much for attending, and thanks for listening. I hope we have managed to answer all of your questions. If there's anything you still need to ask, please do reach out to our colleagues from Volkswagen Communications. So I'd like to wish you a good day, have a good Friday, and a good weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe, and see you next time.